Hello and welcome back to our cottage garden. This is a summer garden tour for you. We're filming end of July, but I think by the time we've got this edited, it will probably be early to mid-August. So happy August and hope you're having a lovely summer. You've joined us on a really nice, comfortable, cloudy day, but this hasn't really been representative of the month so far. It's been really hot and dry, and I've had a few issues trying to keep young plants alive while there's been a bit of a drought. We've lost quite a lot of water in the pond as well, so we're really anticipating some rain now and hoping that things can start to rebalance a bit. But you might notice around me the grass. I think the lawn behind me is okay, to be fair. It's slightly on the patchy side, but not too bad. The lawn in front of me is absolutely atrocious, and one thing I'm working on at the moment is trying to add a little bit of diversity to the lawn so it can sustain itself better. So it's definitely a work in progress, but I feel like it does look quite awful at the moment. But those of you who garden will know summer is a time of never-ending to-do lists. You get on top of one job and then another thing makes itself known, and it feels a bit relentless at times. But there's always something to enjoy, and that's what I like to lean into in these videos. So we'll have a look around and see what's in flower. We've got some really interesting things going on, so I'm looking forward to showing you around. But I like to be honest as well, and gardening is sometimes it's hard work, sometimes things look messy, and that's the reality of it. You may have noticed behind me that sadly we're down to 4 ducks now, and it feels really like a small amount for us. I think at the start of the year we had 6. The most we've ever had I think was 9. So the flock has been quite a bit bigger and tends to fluctuate, but we unfortunately lost one of our first ducks. Her name was Abby. We lost her a couple of days ago, and really sad. Found her with quite a horrible injury and had to rush her to the vet to get her put to sleep so that she wasn't in any discomfort. And we were both really upset by it, particularly as she was one of the ones we've had for about 5 years now. She was one of the original trio that we got, and she was quite indestructible. If ever there was a problem with the flock, she would always manage to avoid it. So it was quite surprising to find her in trouble, and really sad. So our flock now is Waylon, Coco, Patch and Dolly, and they're enjoying the lawn behind me at the moment. But fingers crossed, no more duck drama. I feel like this is something that's come up quite regularly this year, and really hope that's the last bit for now. I think that's the difficult thing with smaller pets that have slightly shorter lifespans and they live outside where things can be a bit more dangerous. You do have to go through loss a little bit more than you do with things like cats and dogs that you keep in the house and manage to stay safer. So that is probably one of my least favourite things about keeping ducks. But everyone else is doing very well, very healthy otherwise, so keep your fingers crossed everything's plain sailing for the rest of the year. Before we get started though, this video is sponsored by Jackery, and this is the Jackery Explorer 1000 V2. Working as a content creator means I spend a lot of time staring at a computer, and I'm much more comfortable doing this outside. And the portable power station's been helping me to move my work environment out into the garden and make the most of the long summer days. I've been using the Jackery Explorer to charge all of my work tools, including my laptop, my phone and my headphones. And when I'm not using it for work, I can also use it to charge batteries for my garden tools so that I can keep on top of hedge trimming throughout the summer. With a garden that's 300 feet long, portability is an obvious win for us. It's surprisingly lightweight for how much it does, and it's really quiet. You can have it next to you while you're reading, writing or filming, and it won't interrupt the atmosphere, which is very important in a garden or nature setting. The Jackery Explorer has a 1500 watt output, which is 50% more than previous generations, and it's a smaller size. To give you an indication of how much power that is, while I'm filming these YouTube videos, I could charge my camera 47 times using the power station. The Jackery Explorer has 2 AC outlets, a couple of USB-A's and a USB-C port, and even a car outlet, so you can plug in pretty much anything you want to use on the go. You can charge the power station from a wall and it takes 2 hours, but if you're pushed for time, you can use the emergency charge mode and have it fully charged in under an hour. And if you're more mobile than that, you can also charge the power station through your car or even through a solar panel, so it's perfect for off-grid living. You can see we're using this outside, so it's really important that it's safe for outdoor use. And so it's been made to IEC 60068 standards, meaning it's fine to use while out and about. It's also fire resistant casing, so there's no need to worry about fire risk. You can control the Explorer from the Jackery Smart app, which allows you to see the power remaining on the power station, what you're charging and what these outputs and inputs are, and also you can control the light and the screen on the power station from your phone too. I think for anyone who works creatively or just likes the idea of unplugging a bit while staying powered, this is a game changer. I've used it for writing and editing videos outdoors, and I've used it for when we're hosting in the evenings to power fairy light. It's not just for camping, it's really useful for quiet, rural, creative lives too. I'll put all of the specs for the Jackery Explorer and where you can find them in a link in the video description, but thank you so much to Jackery for sponsoring this video. We could stop here and have a look at what's in flower, and this little area here is a really lovely pollinator corridor. You might be able to spot some of the bees now, but this time of year the plants are covered in pollinators and it's gorgeous. Mostly bees, but sometimes we get butterflies and moths as well. And if you remember last year we had a really bad year for pollinators and it was quite scary, so it feels really good to see this many, and I love the colours and the density of the flowers this time of year. So we have some lavender here, and that's a variety called Hidcote. It's a really bright purple colour, probably one of the most popular plants in the garden for the bees. We've also got some lamb's ear here. This is just gone over now. There's a few flowers left on it, so still a few bees, but it has a really gorgeous soft texture. And when I planted this one, a lot of people told me not to because it spreads quite viciously, but I've not actually had any problems with it, and actually I'd say I've had the opposite and it hasn't spread fast enough for my liking. So I think it just goes to show it's different depending on gardens and conditions, but it's a plant that I really love, and probably will be deadheading this one soon, but it's lovely and architectural and just gorgeous texture. This is sneezewort or yarrow, and I bought the tiniest pot of this from Great Chelfield Manor, which is one of my favourite local gardens. They've always got a plant sale on there. Tiny pot, and from that one pot, I think over the course of 3 years, this is everywhere in the garden now. It spreads like mad, but it's quite shallow rooted, so it's not a problem. You can just pull it out and divide the plants really easily and share them out with people, which is presumably what they were doing in Great Chelfield. But again, a lovely plant, just starting to go over, so I will also probably have to deadhead this one soon, but it seems to be quite happy here. And then we have a mallow at the back there as well, and this mallow is the only one I've managed to grow. I've tried so many times to grow a variety called Barnsley Baby, which looks like this but slightly more compact and with softer white and pink flowers, and it's beautiful, but I just can't get it to take to the garden. And this one here was an accident. I thought it was Barnsley Baby and I thought I'd give it a try in a new place near the house. Unfortunately it was the wrong type, but it's really happy here, and it's just gone mad. But this is a little snapshot of the July/August garden for you, and a lovely bit of colour and texture too. So this is something of a behind the scenes because we've not quite finished yet, but we've been installing these lovely lights from Corston Architectural, and we've put 5 of these in and wired them into the house so we can switch them on from the kitchen. We added these in so that we can light this lower bit of the garden, so that when we're having dinner out here in the summer while the days are nice and warm, it will also be light enough to see what we're doing, and we're really happy with them. They're gorgeous. So the only thing we've got left to do now is finish burying the wires, which I've started doing, and planting up around them so that they settle into sort of a softer border as well, because if you've ever buried wires before, you'll know know that it does trash the garden temporarily, so we're going to replant that bit and then have them settle in. But we're so happy with them. They are part of a job that we were doing on Instagram, so you'll see them over there soon as well. So think of this as a sneak preview, but we're super pleased with them, and I just wanted to stop and show you them. So if you watched our last video, you will have seen we showed you the beginnings of this big blue agave going to flower. And I think it's near the end of its flowering process now. So if these are plants that are local to your area, you probably will have seen more of a kind of spectacular flowering than this. But for where we are in the southwest of the UK, they're quite an unusual thing. I've certainly never seen one flower here before. So it's an amazing thing for us to watch, but I think it has meant, because we're in a kind of colder and wetter climate, perhaps the flower has not gone as big as they do in warmer climates, but it's amazing nonetheless. And in the strange way that we can't quite understand how plants communicate with each other, another agave has started flowering in the last few days. And I don't know anything about agaves really, so if you happen to be an expert, please do enlighten me on maybe what type this is, whether or not the plant's going to die. We know on the larger agave that this is a death bloom, and it means that the plant will sadly die. And initially I thought that was okay, we'll end up with a bit more space. We've still got some very big agaves that haven't gone to flower yet, and I was looking forward to moving this one into more of a central place, but lo and behold, it's also decided that it wants to die. So it's doing a flower. They are just some of the most unusual things I've ever seen. They're really quite amazing, and the texture of the flower is so strange. But there you go, that's the big greenhouse, and we're going to have quite a lot of space once we've gotten around to removing the flowers after they've finished, but for now we're just enjoying them and appreciating them. July is definitely a month for food though, so I thought I would show you the chaos that is the Polytunnel. Depending on your style of gardening, this might look really wild, but this is absolutely my style. I love it. Just a happy mix of all kinds of different plants, perennials, annuals, fruits, veggies, all kinds of things. And we've had our first ripe tomato this week, so it feels like we're in kind of a harvest season now. And there's so much going on in here, and it's so chaotic, I don't really know where to start. But like always, there is an amazing ecosystem in here. Basically it's full of flies, but they're all important in the grand scheme of things, and the smaller insects feed the kind of larger creatures and the ones that we love. There's so many ladybirds in here. I've never seen so many. We've had lots of damselflies, butterflies, parasitic wasps, all kinds of things, and insects that I quite honestly don't know what they are, but I think it can only be healthy to have so many different types of creatures in here. It's definitely the season for cabbage white caterpillars though, and we've got sacrificial nasturtiums absolutely everywhere, which are predictably covered in them. But I do find, I find it really hard to remove them from my brassicas because I think butterflies have such a hard time at the moment. Whenever I see a caterpillar, I just don't want to interfere with its life. So I let things get eaten. Quite often, some of the brassicas will recover. They might be slightly smaller, but I never net things. And in here, I'm definitely experimenting with seeing whether the nasturtiums do act as enough of a decoy for them. And then obviously the hope is that eventually a bird will come in and eat some of the caterpillars too. So we'll see. And even if all the brassicas get eaten, there's so much other food to fall back on in here. We've got loads of tomatoes. The grapes are coming along really nicely. If you grow grapes, this is the first time I've ever grown red grapes, so please tell me when they should be turning red. I know they do it as they start to ripen, and they do need to get a bit bigger before that happens. But because I bought this from someone's garden, there's a bit of trust involved, and I've been growing it for probably 4 years. with this being its first year of fruiting. So I will be really disappointed if they're green grapes, but if they're red and seedless, then I'm going to be delighted. And the plant looks beautiful. Again, it's home to so many ladybirds. I'm just looking at it now and I can see loads of them. We've also got some chard, cucumbers here, and the courgettes have gone absolutely mad as usual. So this is a yellow courgette, and I think you might be able to just see, they look kind of like grenades. They're really beautiful and they grow so quickly. And so this will be our 4th or 5th one. And it's only just started giving us fruit, but we like to put them in pastas, particularly in a creamy pasta. They're very tasty. It just descends into chaos behind me. That's my style for you though. It's jumbled and exciting, and I love it in here. I think it looks gorgeous when everything is at kind of its peak. I think everyone this time of year has a bit of their garden that they just feel they can't keep up with, and this is that for us. But on the plus side, it's really wild, and I can hear crickets at the moment. There's just so many insects and mammals in this area because we leave it alone. So this is our second area where we grow fruits and vegetables. And again, think of this as a kind of behind the scenes while we're making some changes up here. But what we're doing at the moment is we're putting in these bean frames from Harrod Horticultural. And again, this is a job that we're working on some Instagram content for, so you'll probably see that over there soon. But they're really amazing heavy duty things. And we've got another one to go on the other side, so it will end up looking symmetrical. And we will be putting some netting up to climb beans on. But in the meantime, we're just using them for leftover tomatoes and cucumbers because we have so many spare plants, and I've still got another 10. I know I've run out of time to get them in the ground now, but I might still do it anyway, we'll see. If we're lucky and the blight holds off, maybe we will be able to grow them into October, perhaps even early November if we're really lucky. So we'll give it a try, but it is higgledy-piggledy. We're working on really hilly, uneven ground, and a lot of this Aaron and I have done ourselves, and we've not been too perfectionist about it. It's a cottage garden, and that's part of the enjoyment of it. I also added these standard roses a few days ago. They are a really lovely kind of dusky purple colour that then fades to pink. I think the flowers have got slightly singed now, so I should deadhead these soon. But again, I thought it's a nice way to mix ornamental and edible plants together and gets a bit of diversity in the roots that are in the ground as well, which is always really good for the soil. And now we're a good few months into summer. The orchard has been fruitful, for lack of a better word. So we've got lots of apples on the way that are just starting to ripen. And the fig tree at the moment is giving us the first few ripe figs. And I had 2 peaches yesterday as well. And there's something amazing about fruit that you've grown yourself. It just does not compare to what you buy in the supermarket. It's so much better and it has so much more flavour. And homegrown figs, I think, are one of the best and also the easiest things to grow. So I'm always really pleased with those. But that's pretty much everything for our July/August garden tour. We'll see you again in another month, and hopefully we'll have a few more things to harvest and share with you. Please do subscribe if you enjoy watching these videos, and we'll see you next time.